Hi guys, now on to the spiral in Rumba. Specifically what we want to look at is the opposing spirals that help us to create speed and help to keep the balance. In the last two videos we've talked about how the standing leg helps to inspire and create the moving picture or gesture leg. We're going to need that because we're going to use the delayed extended forward walk to create delay and beauty in our spiral. As I mentioned in the last video, you can simply walk to the foot, but you can get more opposing spiral and more beauty by using the extended walk. So we also talked about that, the pressed or delayed forward walk and the delayed extended, sometimes just called extended. So I'm combining a little bit of Laird's terminology with some of the Imperial Society's terminology there. So now in the spiral, we'll assume that we've already gotten our picture leg or our gesture leg or our extended delayed leg ahead of us. In the last spiral video that I did the spiral on the floor where we lead from the head and everything follows in sequence. And then we did an opposing spiral where the shoulder line was resting and the head was working strongly in the opposite direction. So now we're going to get a delayed or opposing spiral also through the middle of the body and the torso. So as we set up the extended forward walk, and we're doing what we call a spot, in that we're going to keep our focus as long as possible in front of us. Now I used to think when I was first in ballet that a spot really meant a spot, and I had a hard time spotting because I was looking for too small an area. So you can have a 12-foot wall in front of you. That's your spot. So as we move now onto the foot, we're going to feel, exaggerate this, that we're trying to turn the trunk and the arms and not the hips or the head just yet. We're trying to turn from the trunk, letting the trunk then take the hips. I'm still looking there. Now at this point I will spot. I will turn my head, let my head pull me around, and now I'm in a true continuous spiral of the head pulling left, the rib cage pulling left, and finally the hips pulling left before we create the settle and the walk forward. Spiral is a very difficult movement. It's mostly done by the ladies and mostly of course done in your high heels, and one of the reasons it's so difficult is we try to turn usually in one piece, trying to turn everything, because this is what we actually think we're seeing, turning everything exactly together. But we're actually turning these in, let's say, 3 bits: middle and arms, hips and head. Extended walk, moving the weight to the foot, turning through the trunk and through the arms, leaving the head late. You see now my hips are beginning to prepare for the finish at the end. I'm bringing the head around, then stepping out. So as you're completing the spiral, the legs may wrap and flex into this position, or you can keep the legs crossed. You can keep the legs crossed lower into the ankle. Now if I had heels on, that's sometimes done on the toes, and the technique is not written that way, but you'll see this stylized where the lady will have both of her heels, even in the stiletto, both of her heels off of the floor, and then keeping the legs in what we call a sous position in ballet, very, very tight here. So we'll try the other leg then. Do your delayed extended forward walk. Begin to take the torso. Find your spot. That's that whole wall over there. Rib cage is moving. I'm still looking there, beginning to feel my hips helping. Bring the head around, bring the hips around. Cross the legs, or if you're on the releve, crossing the legs in this position. Now that one's a lot more difficult to do. As I said, the technique is not written that way to have it danced on the toes, but it's often stylized. So what we're working on here then is the spot, which itself is a counter spiral. The body underneath the head is turning. The head is delayed. The head finishes the turn. The body underneath the head is turning. And then the head comes around. So it's a little difficult to do. If you're practicing on carpet like I am right now, it's probably better to do it in your bare feet. It's really difficult to do in heels, obviously. But you're going to find this a difficult movement to do anyway in your heels. So work on it in your bare feet, or if you have a studio floor, in a flatter shoe. And just working with trying to get the body to turn under the head and come around. Let's take a close-up of the feet if we would use the method of the heel being well off the floor. Now I'm assuming the lady is already in the stiletto, but she can really move up to demi-point into that strong releve and pick the heel up off the floor and pull the other foot in very close. So you'll see that as the spiral is happening there, really extending through the arch of the free foot and engaging the leg muscles and turning. And the legs now are spiraling themselves into this strong, very beautiful ankle-y position. At that point then, I can put my heel down and begin the walk. We do that on the other foot with the left heel up, and engaging high into the arch, up into the demi-point, pulling the legs together and extending through the arch of the free foot. Now with the left foot, well up, engaging the muscles of the legs, pulling the tummy up, and allowing my legs to cross. I'm going to be, as I'm turning, extending through the arch of my free foot. Putting the heel down. And notice the foot that I'm leaving. As I'm leaving the foot behind me, you can see that the ankle and the foot are still articulating to help me move up onto my releve and also to create that beautiful line. If I switch feet, you can see the back foot is working, continuing energy